On this week's episode of BJ in the Morning, we're going to talk about some real-life, horrifying true crime stories. Let's go. Those are some sick dance moves, my guy.
Thanks, my guy.
If you're not watching on YouTube, you should be, just for those sick moves during the intro. Since we don't have like a fancy intro, it's usually just us sitting here just with the logo.
Chilling.
But welcome to BJ in the Morning. I'm Brendan.
And I'm Juan.
Juan? Isn't that like the name of the original Ring movies?
Juan?
I'm pretty sure. Are you going to look it up now? You should look it up. Look it up while we're...
I'll look it up.
But yeah, it's spooky season still. We're coming to the last final week of spooky season here.
Yup. And we're going to talk about true crime.
Uh-huh.
But we're first going to look up the original...
It's like J-U-O-N.
J-U-O-N.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure.
J-U-O-N.
No, wait. No, it's Ringu is the Ring.
The Grudge.
The Grudge, that's what it is. I was close.
Yeah.
Those movies came out about the same time in America.
Yeah.
The American remakes of them. But we're not talking about horror movies today. We've already done that. Mm-hmm. We're talking about real life, because real life is pretty scary. There's a lot of scary stuff going on in the world. Mm-hmm. Not just now, but then and tomorrow.
And always. It's just getting crazier nowadays.
Crazier.
But seriously. I mean, what's more crazier than a serial killer? Or what's more crazier than
just
finding body parts in a box?
Yeah.
You know, like
I we hear stories of those all the time, and like I'm pretty sure I've told some stories here about where I used to live, but we're not going to get too in detail with those because it seems a little too close to home, literally. Right. Mm-hmm. But like, yeah, there's stuff out there, and like things get scary. Real life, real life's way worse than what we see in the movies.
Like something that has happened, not to me personally, but around me. Mm-hmm. True crime-esque, I guess, in a way of what we're about to go through right now. But when I was younger, we lived in an apartment complex.
Yeah.
In like a not so great part of town. Mm-hmm. And apparently the cops found a body in the dumpster.
Wow.
Yeah, they followed a blood trail from the apartment to the dumpster, and they found a body in there.
That's insane. In the apartments that I visited you in, or is this before I knew you?
No, I was like little kid.
Baby.
Yeah, I was like
little baby Juan.
Little baby Juan. It's the same apartment complex I got the AM/PM. That's just out of town it is. There's an AM/PM.
Yeah.
Across the street, got shot up with like semi-automatic assault rifles, and there was like a whole shootout between like the cops and the peeps. And
this is America.
Yeah,
this is America.
I was a kid. I was pretty traumatized, dude.
No, and I mean, these things don't just happen in America. Obviously, like serial killers are all over the world. Mm-hmm. There's violence everywhere. Blah 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 blah. Like I said, real life is a lot scarier than what we see in movies sometimes, and movies are made to scare you.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, is the news just becoming like the new horror movie craze? You know what I mean?
Maybe because I feel like scary movies, like humans in general, people in general, are getting desensitized to scary movies.
Yeah, and I think that's where we see the rise of like true crime podcasts and everything. So we're gonna take our little stab, at true crime podcast type of deal, but we're gonna go over a couple different stories today, ranging from super well known to some that we might not have known about before doing research on here. We haven't done a lot of research, but this is mainly like little snippets of real life true crime, famous murders,
things that have
and
happened
stuff.
before, famous or not.
I know the first one on my list is one of the most famous. So do you want to start with what you have on your list, or should I go for it?
How about you go for it? Just kick it off.
Sweet.
With
Okay.
the famous one.
With the famous one. So we're going all the way back. I think it was in the 40s. 1947. With a lady named Elizabeth Short. She was an aspiring actress who wanted to be famous more than anything else in the world. And she never could have imagined, though, how she would earn it as the victim of a brutal murder that has haunted America for decades. So on January 15th, 1947, a young woman and her 3-year-old daughter stumbled upon the body of 22-year-old Elizabeth Short. She was horribly mutilated, lying in the grass of a Los Angeles residential neighborhood, her body completely chopped in half.
Ugh.
Also, by the way, we should probably preface by saying this is definitely going to have graphic imagery, descriptions, things like that. We're not
NSFW. Is that what was that what it is?
Not safe for work?
NSFW.
Yeah.
Not safe for work.
Yeah, so if you're squeamish or I don't know, sensitive to things like this, definitely go check out another episode.
Maybe we'll catch you on the next one.
We'll catch you on the next one. As I've already said, someone got chopped in half. But yeah, this lady and her 3-year-old kid stumbled upon this body, you know? It's kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, that alone sets up so many different things, right? But the two pieces of her body were about a foot apart. And her intestines had been removed, folded up, and shoved back into her guts.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, there were ligature marks on her wrists. Pieces of her skin had been removed, and her body had been completely drained of blood. But perhaps the worst part was her face. The killer had cut it open from the corners of both sides of her mouth to her ears, permanently etching a Joker-like smile on her face. 1 week later, an editor at the LA Examiner received a call from someone claiming to be the murderer. He'd kept souvenirs, he said, and he'd be sending them over in the mail. And he made good on his promise. 4 days later, a postal worker pulled out a letter addressed to the Examiner, and inside was Elizabeth Short's birth certificate, business cards, photographs, and her address book. But like so many other famous murders, this one's ensuing chaotic media circus only obscured the investigation. The police were overrun with too many tips to filter out the truth from the lies. And they interviewed 12 possible suspects and listened to more than 60 people who tried to insist they were the killers, but they never managed to make a single arrest. And that is the story of the Black Dahlia murder.
Dang.
Right?
Dang.
Very famous.
Still unsolved.
Very famous murder. Movies have been made. It's been portrayed in countless TV shows. And
yeah, I didn't know this happened in the 40s.
Yeah, and like the graphic nature behind the actual killing, like, dude, in the 40s, like, that's insane.
You were capable of that back then?
We were that messed up in the 40s?
Jesus.
It's like, it's horrifying though. Like that, I mean, obviously, like, we've come from places of much more, like, I guess, like, more extreme brutality. Yes. Like, but the 40s didn't seem like the place like this could happen, if that makes sense.
Right.
And especially, yeah, I didn't really put together that the Black Dahlia was in the 40s.
Yeah,
you know?
Me either. That's wild.
Yeah, dude, like, it's just
so crazy. And then, like, just all the details that were in there. I don't think I've ever heard that many details of this murder.
Right. And this is, I mean, it's just one killing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, how many more has this person done, whoever it was?
Yeah, we might never find out, you know?
I guess not.
I mean, the 40s were a long friggin' time ago.
Right.
Like,
yeah, it's probably like swept under the rug at this point.
It's
real.
done, dude. They're
done.
They gave up.
Ain't no cold cases in this bitch.
What did you say?
Ain't no cold cases in this bitch.
You got to really enunciate the ain't.
Ain't no cold cases in this bitch.
The list I have, some of them have not been solved. So.
They're ice cold.
Ice cold.
Okay.
Yeah, man, like I said, really famous murder. Like, there's been tons of movies about it. There was that one movie, The Black Dahlia, which was solely about it. I never watched it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've seen it.
I don't think so.
I did skip the Zodiac Killer on my list just because I feel like that one's very
been there, done that.
Yeah, it's all over the
place.
Said
that.
Read that.
Read it. What's up?
What's on your list?
All right. My first one is The Boy in the Box.
Oh, I had this one on my list.
And this one might be...
It's going to be tough.
Yeah, I think so.
It's going to be tough to hear about.
I think so. So, buckle down, baby. All right. In February 1957, a college student stumbled upon the remains of a young boy in the woods of Philadelphia. He reported this gruesome discovery to the police. The boy was found badly beaten and laid to rest inside an old bassinet box. His identity was unknown. Several people came forward with information relating to the case, but the police were not able to verify anyone's testimony. One woman, Martha, claimed that her abusive mother bought the boy. Under their roof, he was subjected to the physical and sexual abuse. What made the police take interest in Martha's story was her knowledge of the details that had not been released to the public. She claimed that shortly before the boy was beaten to death, he ate baked beans, which corroborated with the autopsy. She also claimed that he was bathed before his death, which matched the coroner's finding of water-proof fingers. Though Martha's testimony seemed to match the evidence, her substantial history of mental illness made her an unreliable witness. I can keep going. We're almost done. I thought I was done, but another lead came from a psychic who accurately described a foster home near where the boy had been found without ever having seen it. Remington Bristow, an employee at the examiner's office, followed the psychic's directions to the foster house. Inside, he discovered a bassinet matching the description of the bassinet box the boy was found in. He also found blankets similar to the ones that were wrapped around the boy's body. Because there was no real incriminating evidence against the foster parents, Bristow's findings were all dismissed as well. 62 years later, the case of the boy in the box has gone cold. Facial reconstruction technology has been provided, mock images of what the boy might have looked like alive, but no one has ever come forward to claim him. DNA and dental testing have been attempted with no success thus far. The identity of the boy in the box remains unknown to this day.
Jeez. And this happened in the 50s? 1957?
Yeah. What the heck?
Just 10 years later, you know?
Black Dahlia. The boy in the box.
So, like, my biggest thing with something like that, I feel like you couldn't get away with that kind of stuff right now, I guess. Like, I'm not going to think about it too much because that just seems weird. But it's like, in the world we live in now, everyone knows everyone, basically, right? Like, we're all connected in ways and things. And some things like that couldn't. I mean, they probably do happen, and that's scary.
Technically, this kid was a foster child, so he didn't really have any connections to anybody.
Yeah.
And the way that Martha described it was like her mother bought the boy?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
Right.
Maybe it's just worded differently, like adopted.
Yeah.
Do you pay money to adopt?
I think
I'm
so.
assuming.
Yeah. I mean, how else do they keep the process going? Right.
So,
which seems also fishy.
Yeah.
Like, why should you?
Hey, can I buy that one?
It's like how you have to pay like $1,400 to adopt a puppy. You know, it's like,
yeah.
What else are you gonna do with it?
And what kind of mental illness did Martha have that she was an unreliable witness?
Right, because especially if she had like insider knowledge, you know, like if she saw these things and knew these things, like I feel like again today, if someone said those two things, right, the beans, the bath,
beans in the bath,
they'd be like,
done, closed case.
That's it. They would have done more probably, right? Also, psychics getting involved, that's weird to me. I don't know if I believe in psychics, but if they accurately described the things and the places and they checked it out, but they were like, yeah, whatever, everything's fine. Like, there's too many things.
Too many loopholes.
But not just loopholes. I mean, more so like coincidences. Like,
maybe somebody at the police station had a hand in it.
Shit.
Maybe it was Martha's mother's husband.
Now we're throwing accusations around.
That's not an accusation. That's a theory.
There's same thing. Yeah. What the fuck though?
Crazy.
Like, yeah. People are nuts, dude.
Crazy.
I don't like it. But I also have a story about someone who went a little nuts. It's probably a story that you've at least heard a little bit of. Mother, you good? Mother's good.
Give it to me.
All right. So the deaths of Andrew and Abby Borden are arguably two of the most famous murders in all of American history. Do you know this one so far?
The name sounds familiar.
Okay, but I'll continue then.
Okay.
I'll continue. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going back in time to August 4th, 1892.
1892. Okay, continue.
It started off like any other day for the Borden family. Andrew started his morning by going to town to deal with some business, leaving his daughter Lizzie, a 32-year-old Sunday school teacher, at home with his wife Abby and the family's maid, Bridget Sullivan. When Andrew returned later that day, his wife was nowhere to be found. Lizzie told him that Abby had received a note and gone to visit a friend. Abby, though, hadn't gone anywhere. At that very moment, she was just upstairs, lying dead in a pool of her own blood. Lizzie helped her father relax on the couch and take a nap. She tried to convince Bridget to leave the house, telling her about a department store sale down the road, but Bridget turned her down. She wasn't feeling well, she told Lizzie. Instead, she went to her bedroom, laid down, and fell asleep. Sullivan's rest was cut short with a fit of screams and shouts. Lizzie was screaming that her father had been murdered, and when Sullivan rushed out, she found Andrew dead on the couch, covered in blood. His face was so badly disfigured that he was nearly unrecognizable. In a panic, Lizzie remembers that her stepmother Abby should have returned home by now. She asked Sullivan to check for her upstairs. The search, though, was short. Sullivan only made it halfway up the stairs before she found her hacked to death with a hatchet. Abby had received 19 blows from a hatchet, and her husband had been hit 11 times. In the beginning, Lizzie was not a suspect, but after a friend caught her burning one of her dresses because it was stained, she was arrested and put on trial for the murders. Ultimately, the court cleared Lizzie of the charges. There wasn't enough concrete evidence against her, and the defense provided witnesses that gave Borden an alibi, and they just couldn't believe that a female Sunday school teacher could ever be capable of such crimes. Countless theories have been proposed about what might have happened. Some put the blame on Lizzie Borden, others on Sullivan, and others still to this day say that the girls committed the killings together. But more than 100 years later, the mystery remains unsolved.
I'm surprised after she went, like she got free, everyone wasn't like, burn witch, burn the witch.
Yeah, right? Especially in the 1800s like that, you know?
Man.
Yeah. So yeah, those are the Borden axe murders. I
don't think I knew those ones either.
No.
The name sounds familiar for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing the whole story?
Yeah. And again, this isn't full stories, but it's enough of the stories, right?
Right.
But yeah, dude, it's just kind of wild that, again, these things happen in these places. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
19 times and 11 times.
Ugh, with a hatchet?
With a hatchet.
Probably dull, too.
Probably. They were probably using it for other stuff, you know?
Yeah.
It wasn't just for hacking up bodies. Yeah, dude. So it's a little crazy. It's a little wild. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to picture that time period and like how that would all like work together. It's so weird.
I feel like court in that time probably was like he said, she said type of thing instead of like having real evidence.
Yeah, when did lawyers come into play?
Yeah, where are the lawyers at?
When did they get out here? Because it's, I don't know, 1892 though, man. Like, that's, oof.
It was probably just like the church.
Yeah, right.
Being like,
most likely.
You are forgiven.
Yeah, and a Sunday school teacher. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. It just seems kind of fishy that that if Lizzie did it, that the maid that was there the entire time didn't know.
Or didn't hear
anything until she was asleep.
Yeah.
I'm on the fence. But I'm on the fence with the people who said they did it together.
I agree.
Yeah, that a little fishy there.
I don't know. Didn't hear
Bridget.
nothing. I didn't hear nothing.
But what do you got? What's next on yours?
All right, my next one is the Icebox Murders.
Okay.
This was in 1965.
Okay, another time jump.
Okay. Fred and Edwina Rogers. First of all, what kind of name is that?
Edwina.
Edwina? You've heard that name before?
Yeah. Edwina.
First of all.
Isn't that someone's name in Chicken Run?
I haven't seen that movie in like 20 plus years.
They just announced a sequel.
Are you serious?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh my God. Edwina. First of all, never heard of that name.
Never.
Ever. Second of all.
He's possibly heard that name if I'm correct in remembering the Chicken Run, which I also haven't seen in like 20
plus years. Second of all, change it.
Change the what? The name?
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you just change it?
Just change it.
I'm going to guess the names you said, they can't.
Okay. All right. Starting over. Fred and Edwina Rogers.
Fredwina. Sorry.
Fred and Edwina.
These are people, like victims.
Yeah, let's not do that.
I'm sorry.
All right. Fred and Edwina Rogers.
Go back. Stop. You definitely said wiener.
Stop being insensitive.
You said
all right.
We're not.
Okay. Professional.
Professional. We're professionals.
We're professionals. Fred and Edwina Rogers.
Good job. Good job. Proud of you.
We're living in Houston along their grown son, Charles. The family most likely kept to themselves in their quiet neighborhood, especially given Charles's exclusive and antisocial behavior. Charles. In fact, many neighbors were not even aware that Charles lived at home with his parents because he left the house each day before dawn and didn't return until after nightfall. When a family member hadn't heard from the Rogers in several days, he called the Houston police for a welfare check. The patrolmen were unable to locate Fred and Edwina, but they noticed food sitting on the dining room table. They opened the fridge and noticed numerous packages of meat neatly stacked on top of one another. Then they noticed the 2 human heads in the vegetable bin. Additional officers arrived on the stomach-turning scene and slowly removed the packages full of dismembered body parts from the fridge. The remains were that of Fred and Edwina Rogers. The police deducted that Edwina had been brutally beaten and shot while Fred suffered forceful trauma to the head. His eyes had been gouged out and his genitalia removed. The couple's innards. Have you heard of that word?
Mm-hmm.
I never heard of that word.
Innards?
Innards?
Yeah, the stuff inside.
Oh,
Yeah,
insides?
the insides.
The couple's
If you're fine.
innards had been flushed down the toilet. Charles was nowhere to be found.
Sorry, that's a strong flusher then.
I guess so. Just like the airplane toilets.
Fuck.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, and now I'm just picturing the scene in is it one of the Final Destination movies where he gets his butthole stuck on the vent at the bottom of the pool? You know what I'm talking about? And it just goes. Anyways,
naturally, Charles was the prime suspect in this heinous crime.
Heinous rhymes with anus. Sorry. Okay, we're professionals.
However, he seemed to have vanished off the face of the earth.
He did it.
Though the police were able to collect circumstantial pieces of evidence against him, Charles Rogers was never found.
He did it.
He did it.
Like, why would you? Okay, two things.
Why wouldn't he
hold
do
on.
it?
Wait. Why would he?
I mean, why wouldn't it be him? Is what I meant.
Yeah, but why? Why would he do it? But also, like, there's two things. Yeah, you ran, disappeared because you did it, or two, you got away, and you can never go back, and you can never be found again because you saw who did it. Right? Mm-hmm. Those are the two things. Those are the options.
Well, they said they have circumstantial evidence against him.
Yeah, circumstantial means like it could, right?
But
it's not definitive.
Give me the evidence.
Yeah.
What is it?
What's the evidence? We should have done more research.
I guess.
The Icebox. Wow.
Sorry.
Are you good?
I'm okay.
Bless you.
Thank you.
The Icebox Killer I've definitely heard of before. Was this? I don't know if this was the only murder that was like this, but there's been other people who put people into freezers and fridges. We all watched
Ted Bundy.
Was it
Not Ted Bundy?
No.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah, we all watched that movie or a TV show. Was it a TV show?
TV show.
Yeah. Again, a lot of these have been like portrayed on movies and TV shows, so we've seen a lot of them. But like, that one heinous crimes.
I knew it.
Oh, sorry. But I have another gruesome murder, and this one is definitely very famous, very, very much. I feel like we've talked about a movie that has this in it recently. So this is about the actress Sharon Tate, who was murdered at the hands of the Manson family while she was more than 8 months pregnant, and it's terrified Hollywood and the rest of America for decades. On the night of August 8th, 1969, Tate was home with friends, while her husband, director Roman Polanski? Yeah, Roman Polanski was out of the country filming a movie. The couple was renting a glamorous house in the Benedict Canyon neighborhood in LA at the time, and the house would become the setting for the grisly murders. Infamous cult leader Charles Manson instructed a few of his loyal followers to enter the house and kill everyone inside, in quotes, as gruesomely as you can. Upon entering the property, the cult followers murdered 18-year-old Stephen Parent, who was visiting the estate's caretaker. Then they made their way inside, their sights set on the home's inhabitants. They gathered the 4 people in the living room, tied them up, and saw one of the friends protested, saying that they were treating the 8 months pregnant Tate far too roughly. But the only answer he got was a bullet in the chest, a foot to the face, and a knife thrust into his body again and again until he died. 2 of the others got free of their bindings and tried to make a run for it. The escape attempt failed, and the killers chased them down and brutally stabbed them dozens of times. Tate was the only one left alive. She pleaded with her captors to let her live, begging for the life of her unborn baby. The Manson family, though, was not moved. They stabbed her to death and used her blood to write the word pig on the home's front door. Manson's motive behind the attack lies in the house itself. The home's previous tenant, music producer Terry Melcher, had earlier denied Manson a recording deal, and Manson wanted revenge. By the end of the year, all of the assailants from the night were caught, as was Manson himself, and they were sentenced to life in prison. Every request for parole has been denied.
Mm.
So, very famous. Very, very famous murder.
Still in prison?
Still in prison. Lots of documentaries and stuff about Manson and his followers. I can tell you, I don't know too much about all the Charles Manson nonsense that went on.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, that kind of cult stuff, like, weirds me out. Like...
It's definitely scary.
That people can be manipulated so much by someone so into themselves. And you see it a lot, like all over the place, and it's weird.
How about the cult that, like, they claimed that the aliens were gonna come get them?
The ones we talked about on a later episode or earlier episode?
I think so. And then they had to drink something, and it ended up killing them.
Zoltan. No, but I know what you're talking about. So it was a drink the Kool-Aid type of deal, where like they had to like poison themselves and stuff to get saved or whatever. I don't remember. Colts,
brother,
like I said, Colts is weird,
drink
dude.
my hot Kool-Aid.
I made this for you. Wow,
what a throwback!
What a throwback YouTube video. Yeah, what's next on your list?
All right. Did you talk about Dorothy Jane Scott?
Nope.
Okay.
We're
gonna be talking about Dorothy Jane Scott. All right. And this happened in 1980.
Okay.
Dorothy Jane Scott began receiving threatening phone calls at work. She was the single mother of a toddler who didn't think much of the calls at first, until one night the sinister voice over the phone told her to look outside. A single dead rose was laying on the windshield of her car. The stalker who had gotten a hold of her number would oscillate between professing his love for her and threatening bodily harm. Dorothy mentioned to several family members and friends that the voice over the phone sounded familiar, but she couldn't quite place who he was. She never got a chance to find out. One night, at a staff meeting, Dorothy noticed one of her coworkers looked ill. She and another colleague drove the man to a nearby hospital. The doctor said that he had a nasty spider bite and needed a prescription. While the two coworkers were waiting for the prescription to be filled, Dorothy went out to the parking lot to get her car. It was the last time she was seen alive. Her coworkers testified that she did not return. They went out to meet her in the parking lot. At that moment, they saw her car speeding away, so they assumed there was an emergency with her son. Dorothy never returned home to her son, nor did anyone hear from her again. 4 years later, her charred bones were found at a construction site. Adding another layer of mystery to the case is the fact that a set of dog bones was found right next to her remains. Though people on the internet are still discussing the case today, no one was ever convicted or held in suspicion, and the mysterious caller was never found.
So it was someone that she knew, right? Like, I feel
Right.
like, I don't remember phone books all too much. I know I had one when we were growing up,
Mm-hmm.
but like, I don't think it was someone who just randomly picked a name and number out of the phone book and like said, that's the person. But I don't know how like all that stuff worked. Like, were there addresses for these people? Like, or was it just phone numbers?
I think it was just phone numbers. I don't remember either.
I remember like looking in the phone book to find like Papa John's and like that's about it. Anyways, that's not what we're talking about. But I feel like it had to have been someone she knew.
Mm-hmm. And the voice sounded familiar.
So it was the kid's dad.
Think so?
Yeah. There's a reason that they always suspect like the father or the like someone related, right, to things like this. It's like especially missing persons. Yeah. And that's why like, those kind of cases work out that way. It's like he probably lost custody, freaked out, and that's what happened.
But with the set of dog bones, what if it was like a human sacrifice or something like that?
Oh yeah, I mean that's the other angle, right? It's like, again, I still think it's someone that they knew, especially if the voice was familiar and they had the phone number. They knew when was it Dorothy?
Yeah,
they knew when she was at work and when she wasn't at work, right? So it was someone stalking her, but they had. It's not just some random dude. It's not the same.
But here's another thing. If it was the husband or the ex-husband or whatever, to have, I mean, not necessarily. We don't know the backstory, but when they have a kid, they must have spent a good amount of time together. Mm-hmm. And I've known you for like 20 years. Mm-hmm. But if I called you and I was like, look outside of your window.
We're like, shut the fuck up, Juan.
Yeah, you'd be like, what?
True.
What the heck?
True.
You know?
True.
I mean, unless he's really good at changing his voice, but like.
No, but I feel like even, if you called me and changed your voice as best you could, I'd still be like, shut the fuck up, Juan. Silly goose. Like, I don't know.
Go look at your car door.
All right, now you just sound like a Muppet.
Go look at your car.
Say this. Me want cookie.
Me want cookie.
See? There you go.
Cookie.
What happened to the kid?
C is for cookie.
C is for crime.
C is for...
Yeah?
C is for... cock. When I mean cock, I mean rooster.
Or like caulking, like
cock. Caulk.
All right, we're gonna change the subject back to the subject that we're talking about. So this is another. I guess they're all famous murders on this list that I've put together. So, this is the shooting of fashion icon Gianni Versace. Who was shot in broad daylight in front of his mansion in Miami's South Beach.
Yeah, there's a show about it, right?
I've heard about the show. I haven't watched it.
Me either.
I can't lie and say that I don't know anything about this because last podcast on the left is currently covering this right now. So they've gotten their 3 parts and went over it all. So I feel like I know some things. We're obviously not going to do as great as they're doing. But at the time of his death, Versace was a well-known fashion designer. He was the man who created the Versace fashion house. He was a superstar in the fashion world, dressing world figures like Princess Diana of Wales. That's a pretty big name. But on the morning of July 15th, 1997, we were alive for this. This is the first one we talked about that we were in the world for.
Wow.
Versace was acting strangely in July 15, 1997. Witnesses say that moments before his death, he went down to a local cafe, passed the entrance, and then circled back to enter. A hostess later remarked that it seemed as if he thought someone was following him. Versace then bought a newspaper, turned back to his multi-million-dollar Mediterranean villa, but he would never make it to the front door. It's unclear exactly how Gianni Versace's murder went down. Some witnesses say they saw a young man in his 20s approach Versace from behind and shoot him twice in the head. Others said that the men looked like they knew each other, were struggling over a bag when a gun went off. However it happened, one of the world's most iconic fashion designers was dead. The man who was responsible was 27-year-old Andrew Cunanan, who had a reputation in the local gay community as a flashy gold digger who targeted older men to squeeze free trips and expensive items out of. But many people also called him unhinged. In the 3 months before murdering Versace, Cunanan killed 4 other men across the country and landed himself on the FBI's most wanted list. However, Cunanan would never answer for his crimes or reveal his motive for killing Versace. He then killed himself inside of a Miami houseboat shortly after Versace's murder, leaving behind no note and just a few belongings.
So that one is technically not unsolved?
That one's not unsolved. They knew who did it. Just based on...
Was Versace a homosexual?
Yeah, he was like one of the first people, like famous people like that to like really come out.
Open?
Yeah.
Nice. I mean, I wear his cologne every day.
Do you?
Yeah.
It's good cologne.
I've been wearing it for like
15 years. A long time.
Yeah. Very long time.
Yeah, I mean, there's like I said, I've been listening to a podcast about that murder, so it's like I feel like kind of cheating if we're talking about it too much. I didn't plan on putting it on my list until like I was putting the like most famous ones on here, because if we're gonna talk about true crime and not become a true crime podcast,
why not?
We gotta throw a bunch of in here,
of course.
And then you guys are gonna love the episode. You're gonna listen to it. You're gonna be like, I want more, and then we're gonna be like, wait till next year.
And you're gonna you're gonna subscribe, and you're gonna.
And then you're gonna be mad when you find out the next episode's about candy.
Wait. Candy?
Ugh.
I didn't sign up for candy.
And then we'll talk about how bad the Willy Wonka movie looks.
Oh, yeah, that.
And then you're going to be like, oh, they're live streaming Spider-Man 2, and it's not the new one. It's the old one.
Yeah.
Oh, they're playing sports games? Boring.
What? I didn't eat any corn.
All the shit we've talked about in the last 2 days.
Yeah.
Oh, they're just complaining about being in their 30s? Gross. That's not what I signed up for. But like I said, I listened to the last podcast on the left, so shout out to those dudes.
Shout out.
They're like the only podcast I listen to besides when I listen to ours on editing. And they had a lot to say about like Versace and like Andrew Cunanan or Cunanan. They called him Andrew Cunani, like Punani.
Yeah.
And it's
Cunani.
Funny. It's funny. So again, shout out to them. That's their joke. It's not our joke. It's funny.
So, not to get too much into it, but like, very famous people like that though are not always the most innocent.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
And like I said, in the stories and everything, there was like rumors that he was tied to the Italian mob and like the actual mob, like not the ones in America, the ones in Italy.
Yeah.
The ones who would like chop off your jaw, like right under, pull your tongue out through the necktie thing, you know, things like that kind of.
Colombian necktie.
There you go. Like those kind of dudes.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, he might have.
Yeah.
Hey, you never know.
You never know.
But like also Kunanen or however you say his name.
Kunani.
It's weird. It's like he was unhinged. Like there's stories of his life like really went into detail with their research over there is top notch.
Yeah.
I haven't done that kind of research since I tried to get an A in like one class in high school to prove that I could do it. But like there was things leading up to it. Like he was like fake as heck, man. Like no matter where he was, what he did, he was fake. No one really knew who he was. There was also stories about him like pissing off Lisa Kudrow, and like he ran into her in a bar and like tried to be all buddy with her, and she got annoyed and left, and like he had her name on his hit list.
What the heck?
Yeah, as well as like Tom Cruise and shit, man. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyways, like I said, I know too much about this one right now, and we're just kind of reading these stories, making little comments. But I think we have time for 2 more. So 1 more for you, 1 more for me.
Okay.
So let's finish this one out strong, man.
Oof.
Well,
I have like 10 more. So
I mean, we're already 45 minutes in.
let me just read the titles and you pick one. How about that?
Okay.
So we have.
No.
Okay. We have
no.
The Chicago Tylenol murders.
That one sounds fun.
Okay.
I mean, not
just wait.
Not fun. Hold on. It doesn't sound fun.
Not fun.
It sounds interesting. There we go.
Okay. The Girl Scout murders.
Also terrifyingly interesting.
Resides in Oklahoma.
Someone goes to Oklahoma a lot here.
They sure do.
One of the 2 of us, and it ain't me.
The Unicorn Killer.
Again, interesting.
The Granny Killer.
Nah. Not about it.
The New Orleans Axeman.
He's an axe man.
Dun, 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 dun.
Professionals.
The Girl in the Box.
No, we already had a Boy in the Box. It was already terrifying. I don't need another one.
The Eyeball Killer.
He just kills eyeballs?
I don't know. That's the last one.
I like the sound of the Tylenol one, and there was another one that the Axeman.
The Axeman?
Yeah.
So which one?
Do the Tylenol killing.
So we're only doing 1 each, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty then. The Chicago Tylenol murders. In September of 1982, a 12-year-old girl in Chicago passed away shortly after ingesting an extra-strength Tylenol. That same day, a man died in a hospital after taking the same pill. Two of his family members followed. Over the course of the next few weeks, more seemingly healthy people in Chicago dropped dead, and the only thing they had in common was taking extra-strength Tylenol shortly before their untimely death. As bottles were recalled by Johnson & Johnson, it was discovered that many of the extra-strength Tylenol pills had been laced with potassium cyanide.
Shit.
Once this was made public, Johnson & Johnson issued numerous ads and warnings to customers to avoid the product. The company began working fervently on a triple-sealed package that would prevent tampering. James William Lewis of New York City contacted Johnson & Johnson claiming that he was responsible for tampering with the bottles and filling the capsules with cyanide. He demanded $1 million in exchange for him to stop. He was arrested for the crime. Although he wasn't found guilty, he was still in prison for extortion. Even after Johnson & Johnson fortified their Tylenol bottles against tampering, the widespread news of what happened in Chicago prompted crimes of a similar nature all around the country. Several more people died from cyanide poison found in other over-the-counter medicine. The Chicago Tylenol murders is one of the few true crime stories to spark real change in the country. The quality control of pharmaceuticals increased tenfold, as did the security of their packaging. Although the FBI didn't have enough evidence to convict anybody of the crime, it is widely believed that James William Lewis and his wife were indeed responsible.
Yeah, so drugs are bad.
Cyanide?
Yeah, I think this really sparked like a whole change in like how medicine is distributed and like how it's packaged and things like that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, think about it. It's still easy to mess with shit.
Yeah.
Like,
and I take Tylenol all the time.
Same.
Like
for our backs, because we're in our 30s.
My back is hurting right now, dude.
Same, dude. Same.
But yeah, it's like, it's crazy because sure, true crime is scary and dismembered bodies are scary, but this is something that like
it could happen.
It could happen
anyone.
To you.
Yeah, and you wouldn't know.
You would never know.
Yeah.
Just imagine like I took a Tylenol right now and I didn't wake up.
No, I don't want to.
I mean, just imagine.
I don't want to.
That happen though.
Nope.
I mean, but still, just like
who's gonna take over for you? Because this is gonna keep going on.
Mother.
What?
She's gonna put the potassium cyanide so that she can take over.
Yeah, that's her goal.
Yeah,
she's been planning it since episode.
Perfect time.
Since episode like 5.
But I have so many Tylenol bottles, she doesn't know which one to lace.
And you don't know which one you're gonna go for.
Yeah, they're all open. They're all half full.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. I have bags of Tylenol, like, or I guess ibuprofen, whatever. Same thing, right?
You know what?
I have like a baggie, like a Ziploc baggie, and one in the bathroom, and then the bottle in the kitchen, and then some more just in the nightstand. You know, like.
So I buy bottles of Tylenol, and then I buy like the travel bottles.
Yeah.
But I'm obsessed with buying like the little like one take packets. That like literally you rip them open, they have 2 pills in it.
Yeah.
From like Circle K. And I just stuff them everywhere, you know, and I forget about them. But like when I have a really bad headache or a migraine or something, like I'll be in my car and I'll be like, there's gotta be something in here. And I'm like taking shit out of my center console. And of course I find like 6 little.
You're an addict.
6 little packets of Tylenol.
Yeah, because I was going to say 2 is not enough. Mother said I'm out.
She agrees. 2 is not enough.
The way she felt. Jeez. So I was gonna go over my last story. The original Night Stalker. But there's a lot of stuff in this that's really uncomfortable.
Okay.
So I'm not. I knew like putting this on here was gonna be a little tricky. But there's just a lot of things in here that
having second thoughts.
I'm having, yeah. Just there's things about, yeah. I don't know. Anyways, the original Night Stalker.
Long story short,
it's terrifying.
The Safe for Work version.
No, I was gonna skip down to another one then because I just looked up another one, and the crazy thing about this one is when it started, was in April of 1992.
Oh,
guess who was alive? Brand new baby out in the world.
Brand new baby. He was going ooh ooh.
I was
ooh, gaga.
No, I'm just kidding. But in 1992, April of 1992, the I-70 killer specifically targeted women working alone in small businesses near the I-70 highway through the Midwest. He murdered 5 women and 1 long-haired man in a ceramic shop, which was probably a mistake. As far as serial killers go, the I-70 killer was pretty sloppy, given that he had shot his victims in broad daylight and simply ran back to the highway afterwards. There were even 2 survivors because the killer's gun jammed a couple of times, causing him to run off. Even with a slew of eyewitnesses seeing his face and helping authorities create facial sketches, the I-70 killer remains at large. Coincidentally, one suspect that the police took into custody based on one of those sketches turned out to be a different serial killer altogether. As it turned out, this other killer in question, Baumeister, liked murdering homosexual men instead. And authorities found the skeletal remains of 11 men buried on his property. However, the police dismissed the possibility of him being the I-70 killer largely because there were no female skeletons found on his property, and the I-70 killer was known to have killed women, which means that he still remains at large.
Dang. I-70.
We're just going to avoid that.
How old would he be now if he was still there?
Well, I mean,
lurking in the shadows.
He's just become a cryptid at this point, you know, like
he's just like
he's one with the trees and the bushes. No, I mean, it is terrifying, right? Like, but it sounds like he was dumb.
Yeah. And very sloppy.
Very sloppy.
And killed a man when he long-haired man.
He didn't mean to. He just wasn't used to it.
Oopsie.
In the 90s.
Oopsie daisy.
And then I had another story on the list which I can say for we'll say for next spooky season.
Okay.
But it's about ghost ships.
Oh.
Which just sounds fun. Ghost ships.
Yeah.
But also it reminded me of this game about ghost ships.
I just watched a Supernatural episode about ghost ships.
Yeah. Was it about the Medan? You don't remember. It's fine. The game I'm talking about is called like Man of Medan. And the ghost ship that it's based on is Medan.
Tell me what happens.
In the game?
Yeah, very quickly.
Very quickly. So a bunch of kids are on vacation and they're doing the fishing trip. And then they're going to go look for treasure or something. I'm backwards. Anyways, but then this ghost ship comes up and they all get captured on the ship. And it's a World War II ship and it's completely empty. And there's like basically zombies on it. But they're like ghost zombies. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the same story.
No, not the same story. But anyways, that concludes our true crime roundup.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, but don't get in your heads that we're going to become a true crime podcast because there's enough of them out there.
We're having too much fun doing what we're doing.
The variety is good, and it gives everyone the opportunity to kind of pick and choose what they want.
Yeah, whatever tickles your pickle.
Which reminds me, Juan.
Yeah?
I need to tell you about an idea I have to have less for... No, I'm just kidding. But after we're done recording, I do have this really crazy idea that we need to talk about. But if you guys listening or watching want to know about these crazy ideas, the best thing that you can do is subscribe or follow on whatever platform you're listening or watching on.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Try.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
No, try though.
Oh. If you guys want to know more about these crazy ideas that we have, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube wherever you're watching or listening. Apple Podcasts, Spotify.
Yeah, drop a follow. Leave a review, dude. It'd be really sick to like get some more reviews in to like tell us how we're doing. If you hate us,
we got the listens.
If you hate us,
but let us know.
Tell
dude.
us. I want to know, because how fun would it be to like read back some really shitty reviews about our podcast? And we can't steal the ideas, but I heard this one podcast do like reviews of reviews.
Can I read you? Okay, now I have to.
Okay,
sorry, we were ending
extended
episodes.
Okay, so this
edition.
We're just gonna cut this part out for the video, so it's only on audio. And it's gonna cut now.
Oh shit! Can I read you a review I got from my old podcast?
Yes.
So for my old podcast, Deep in Some Thoughts.
I'm gonna cut that out.
Okay.
Just kidding.
So that one, I did 35 episodes. I did pretty good, right?
You ain't got shit.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. I was on one of them.
Yeah, you were.
I was on one of them. I did your logo.
Oh, the review's gone?
Damn it.
Oh my god, that sucks. I think the reviews are gone.
Because you haven't posted in like 7 years?
Yeah, I think so.
That sucks, dude. That's weird though, because I can still look up reviews from the first time we did BJ in the morning.
Well, how do we do that?
I don't know, man. But maybe we should save it for the next.
Yeah. So I was gonna. So basically, the review
just give us a gist of it.
Was like, it was like, I don't understand why anyone would listen to this whiny ass fucking pedophile or maybe I shouldn't say that, but whiny ass pedo, like saying all the kinds of crazy shit, and I was just like, where'd he get that from?
Yeah,
like, what?
I know the one you're talking about because I'm pretty sure you showed me it.
Yeah,
and it was something like how you were just alone in this podcast and no one can do that, like, except for like specific
except
people.
for like Crystalia.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
and like I know you
stuff.
no, because I just remember you talking about it.
Yeah,
and how like annoyed you were because it didn't make any goddamn sense.
It didn't make any sense because first of all, I never said anything that like, okay, maybe like, okay, so like we're talking now and this is me, right? Like this is how I am. But like on that podcast, because I was by myself, I kind of had to like develop a character, you know what I mean? And it was kind of like, it was still me, but it was still like a little more like pow around the kisser. You know what I mean?
You had to spice it up.
Yeah.
To keep
and
it
I
interesting.
felt like I was pretty good at it, but then I guess to some people it sounded whiny. And I guess somehow somebody thought I was a
weirdo.
You know, like, and I was just like, just upset because I was like, where does this even come from, and who is this person even?
You pissed someone off.
I had to.
You pissed someone off.
I don't know what I said or what I did to piss them off, but
and like
I'm
they
really
were
upset
they were mad enough to leave a review.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and they put like 0 stars. We'll never listen to this again.
It was probably some shit like, if I could have put 0 stars, I would have.
Yeah, and I was like, but hey,
you
listened.
Yeah, right.
You listened, mother chucker.
But I mean, if you want to leave us some funny reviews to talk about on the podcast,
maybe not call us weirdos like that. But
yeah, those things. But yeah, just leave us a review on like Apple or Spotify has a place where you can let us know what you thought about the episode, which would be really fun.
Right.
And if you like absolutely hated it, tell us. And if you didn't hate it, tell us.
Let us know.
But also follow us on all of our social medias, like Instagram at
BJ in the morning _,
TikTok at
BJ in the morning _,
Twitch at
BJ in the morning _,
and on YouTube. If you're watching right now, you can just hit the button right below, or if you're listening, you can find our YouTube at
BJ in the morning podcast.
Sick. Nice. So yeah, be sure to drop a like, drop a follow, subscribe to the channels, follow the channels, however it is, and there's a million different things and buttons, and they're all different. And tell us down below in the comments, you know, if you have a favorite true crime story that keeps you up at night.
Yeah.
Because I'm probably not sleeping tonight now.
I'm definitely not.
But not because of these stories. I'm gonna go home and play Spider-Man.
Right. That's a good idea.
Spider-Man 2 came out.
Yeah.
That's all I want.
Yeah.
Okay, can we be done now? So I can
you
go.
better get the fuck out of here.
I just want to go. You know.
Oh, shit.
All right. Thanks.
You missed the first time. Thank you for listening to BJ in the morning. I'm Juan.
I'm Brendan.
And
we'll talk. God damn it.
We'll
talk to you next time.
Next time
Next time we'll talk to you.